You guys, it's day 3 of our NBA project, and by now we should be almost done with all of our tabs. And actually, at the end of today, we will be completely done with all of our project. So, first thing, our intro questions should all be filled out. Make sure if it says use 3 sentences that you use 3 sentences. Our player overview should also be filled out. This should be completely done. And then our scatter plots should also be finished as well. So your scatter plot should be along the side there. And remember, there's videos that you can watch to complete all of these things. So our next tab is probability calculations. And so what I would do is go up to the top here and right click and hit duplicate. And that way it opens your project twice. And then what you're going to do is split your screen. And this is the easiest way. I don't know what's happening. Sorry, my computer's messing up. This is the easiest way to see both of the different pages, because when we do our probability calculations, we actually are using our information that we found on our player overview. And we're going to scroll over to this table. And so our frequency table, that should be filled out. All of these need to be completed. We are going to use that to find the probability. And so what you're going to do is you are going to click on the first box, and we are going to do this box next to player 1, 0 to 5 corresponds with player 1, 0 to 5 in the first box over here. And so we're going to use our calculator, and we are going to find the probability of them scoring from 0 to 5 points per game. And so we found that player 1 scored had 0 games where he scored 0 to 5 points. So we're going to do 0 divided by 20, and we get 0, obviously. So we're going to do, and it automatically turns it into a percent. So 0% of the time, player 1 is going to have scored between 0 and 5 points per game. So then we're going to go to player 2, the next one. We notice it's the same number, it's 0, so we know that 0, that it's going to be 0% again. And so we're going to go here and we're going to put 0. 11 to 15 points a game, he had 1. And so we're going to get our calculator again, and we're going to do 1 divided by 20. And the reason we're dividing by 20 is because there was 20 total games. So they played 20 games, and so we're doing one game, they score between 11 and 15 points. So we're going to do 1 divided by 20 times 100 to get our percent. And so we get 5. So this is going to be 5%. If the percent sign's not showing up, you can add it yourself. But just know that we're doing percentages. So 16 to 20 points. He had 3 games where he scored between 16 and 20 points. So we're going to do 3 divided by our 20 games times 100. And we get 15%. So this is 15% of the time. And then he had 16 games that he scored more than 21 points. So 16 divided by 20 times 100. And that's 80% of the time LeBron was scoring more than 21 points per game. So now, to make sure that we're doing this right, percentages add up to be 100 whenever we're talking about a percent. So these percentages that we just found should add up to 100. So 5 plus 15 gives me 20. 20 plus 80 gives me 100. So I know that I have my first row complete and it's done. So you're going to do the same thing on all of them. So even down here, this should have been 0. And so we have 0 divided by 20 times 100 is just going to give us 0. I just messed up my actual one. Make sure that you don't do that. So 0. He had 0 times. So what's nice is anytime you see a 0, you can just plug in a 0. And then 2 times he scored more than, or he had more than, or between 6 and 7 rebound or assists. Sorry, between 6 and 7 assists. And so 2 divided by 20, not divided by 10, divided by 20, times 100. 10% of the time, he was getting between 6 or 7 rebounds a game. And then 16 times, so we're going to do 16 divided by 20 times 100. So again, 80% of the time, LeBron was getting more than 8 assists per game. And you can see that mine didn't show percentages. So what you can do is you can highlight that and then go over and click the down arrow. Oh, sorry. You click the percent sign and it'll turn it to a percent, but then you're gonna have to go back and fix it. Like we knew that this was actually only 10% and this was 80%. So what it did was it multiplied it by 100 and we didn't want them to do that. You also could have just done 0 and then put the percentage sign, and that is also completely okay. So whatever works best for you, just make sure that you have those percents. So then we're going to go down to player 1 again, and we're going to do this, I believe, was also 0. And so we have, again, anytime you see a 0, you can just plug in a 0%. One time he had between 2 to 3 rebounds, so 1 divided by 20. So hopefully you're getting the whole gist. You divide by 20 and then times 100, and we get 5. So we have 5, and then I'm just going to put the percent sign there because it's not showing up. And so that's what we're going to do for all of them. So this one between 4 and 5, we had 1 again, and so anytime that a number repeats, we know it's going to be the same percentage. So now we have a 4. So 4 divided by 20 times 100, we get 20. And then 14. So 14 divided by 20 times 100, we get 70. So we have 70%. And then we just need to check that it actually all adds up to 100. So this whole column, or this whole row, needs to add up to 100. And so we have 5 plus 5 is 10. 10 plus 20 is 30. 30 plus 70 is 100. So we know that we got that correct. So you're going to go through and do player 2 and 3 for all of them. And then you'll notice off to the side here, I actually have a bonus. And so there's going to be 2 opportunities that you can get a bonus for this project. This is one of them. And so the bonus is that if you can graph and place these that we just found, these percentages, into the appropriate graph, then you can get some bonus points back. So if you get a perfect score on the project, then the highest I will give you is the amount total. But let's say that I messed up on some things and so I ended up missing like 2 points. So this bonus will help you earn back some bonus points to hopefully get you back up to the grade that you want. And so give it a try. The worst thing that can happen is that you don't get the bonus. The best thing that can happen is you get some extra points. So once we are done with that and we fill out this whole thing, so you're doing the rest on your own, you need to go to project questions and you need to have all of these filled out by now. So all 5 questions should be completely filled out because now we just did the probability, which means that I can fill out this question now. And so question 1, 2, and 3 was on day 1. 5 was yesterday or last class, and then question 4 is the class. You should be able to answer that. And then I want you to go to final question. And on your final question, you are going to answer in a paragraph, so that means at least 5 sentences, who the player is that you want to pick. So we want to go back and look at all of our data to see what is the best player. So I want to know who was my top scorer? Who had the most assists? Who had the most rebounds? Maybe look in this column to see which player had the highest numbers here, because that means that more games they had more than 21 points or more than 8 assists or rebounds. So you want to look at those. Your scatter plot gives you a visual of that. And so your scatter plot can tell you, is your player consistent like James Harden was when he was scoring, or is he actually decreasing as the year goes on, like Giannis, or is he increasing like LeBron is? So you need to decide what is more important to you. What would you rather have? Somebody who scores a lot but maybe decreasing a little bit, somebody who passes the ball a lot and therefore other people can score so they have high assists? Are you looking for someone that can get the ball back? Or are you looking for someone that can do all three? That's up to you, but you need to be able to justify your answer using the things that you solved in this project. And then when you're done with that, my second bonus, you can see, and you'll find it in the folder, is to make a video. It can be a slideshow. It can be anything that you want. It can be you talking. The more creative, the more bonus points you can receive. But it's going to be you kind of giving a press conference. So talking about why you choose them to be on your team, and then also including some graphs and some percentages and stuff like that. So kind of like if you were to turn on ESPN or some sports radio or something like that, that you'd be talking about your player and justifying why you chose them. Like, for instance, LeBron, he's scoring 21 or more points 80% of the time, and he's also getting 80% of the rebound, 80% of the time he's getting 8 or more assists. And so maybe that's what I'm looking for. And so I'm going to say my player that I chose is LeBron because 80% of the time he's getting more than 21 points. So it makes you speak and talk kind of like you know sports, even if you don't. Now, I just chose LeBron because I didn't have any of the other numbers written down. You should. And so compare those other numbers with your other players and pick the one that you think is the best for your team. But that's what we're doing today. When you're done with the 6 tabs, you are going to submit your project. And then I will have another part where you can submit your video if you want to do the bonus. So why don't you get started on your own project?